Rolise is the person? Let's start there.
Well, I grew up in the Hamptons. I grew up in Sag Harbor. My family is Scottish and they're originally from Brooklyn. I'm also American Indian, obviously. So they summered there for several generations, owning marinas with cottages and things like that.
Wow.
And then I was the first one born there. And by the time I was 8, I actually had decided to move to New York. I wanted to go to the School of the Arts. I had this whole, vision for myself, and
That's amazing.
was obsessed with Gramercy Park and just beautiful things. So.
Okay, so you grew up.
I grew up in Sag Harbor.
Okay.
A neoclassical farmhouse. My grandmother would bring us to Scotland in the summer. She was a professor of linguistics, and she bought a neoclassical farmhouse. She bought chickens. She bought sheep.
Oh my gosh.
We had a coal stove. We had our milk delivered. It was a very sort of rustic, sort of like almost Scottish environment, because it was like a lot of the Scottish farms. But that was also balanced with a lot of intellectualism. She was a writer, she was a professor.
Wow.
Our neighbor, her name was Ellen Frankfurt. She was a feminist, and she also was a writer. She wrote Kathy Boudin, The Dance of Death. She wrote Vaginal Politics. She was a feminist, obviously. And I met Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem at the age of 8.
Wow.
So
That's impressive.
I had a very interesting and diverse upbringing.
Yeah, sounds like it. What's the day in the life of Rolise? Like, you wake up in the morning, what do you do?
Well, when I was with social life, I would wake up in the morning, usually about 9. I wouldn't go to work till 11 or afterwards, just because I would like to have my tea, watch the morning news, answer all my emails, and then I would walk across town, maybe 30 blocks, just to get my exercise and my sun.
30 blocks.
The sun's very important to me.
Yeah.
In the winter, I usually go away and make sure I have sun. And then basically it's constant emails, phone calls, and then I usually have at least one event at the end of the evening, probably 3 or 4 meetings during the day. I usually do very quick meetings at Dina DeLuca just because traveling in the city takes a lot of time and energy, and I just need to sort of go to the meeting, get to the point, get work done as quickly as possible, assess what the situation is, and create a solution and work on it.
How would we go about getting, like the celebs or the high net worth individuals to attend? How do you sort of interest them or intrigue them enough to want to attend?
Social media. It's absolutely all about social media. You have to have a huge network, and you have to contact the network, and you have to work with them yearly throughout. You have to respect what they do for you, and you have to help them with things when they call.
Right. Okay.
So it's just keeping constant contact. I've become friends with a lot of the people that I do business with because I do believe in keeping constant contact.
Okay. For instance, I went to an event last week, and although I thought it was a great event, there wasn't really anybody. I stayed 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. Well, I don't want to bore anyone.
Right.
I don't want to be bored.
Right.
I get bored. I want, you need stimulation constantly in order to not get bored. So last year, Alex and Annie had a photo booth, so people were interested in that. I had, a band from the Caribbean. I also had a young DJ. I think he was 8.
Wow.
I also had frozen wine, because you have to realize you're in a tent, you've been to Polo all day, it's very hot, it's August, or July or August,
Right.
And people sort of get like,
Agitated.
agitated. So I always make sure I have ice cream or sorbet or frozen wine, just to cool people off. And it's interesting to have an interesting product like frozen wine.
I never had frozen wine. Just you saying that.
Yeah, frozen wine. And then I'm also good friends with the owner of Fresh, so I called him. His name is Todd, and he's in Bridgehampton. Everything that he makes is fresh from the garden. The buffalo is from down the road, the beef is from down the road, things are flown in. So I called him and he brought a swordfish. A swordfish is a large creature, very fresh. So Todd basically would cook the swordfish right in front of my guests, and they would have this amazing fresh swordfish.
Sounds good.
So
Sounds good.
not only do I keep them entertained, I also entertain their palates.
Right.
I made sure the other thing is you have to have good alcohol, good quality, organic, you know, a diverse, you know, group of wines, and good wine.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to make sure it doesn't run out. Many events I've attended, it's not very good wine and it runs out, and they have.
And in most cases, like after the first hour or so,
They only have red wine left, and no one really drinks red wine.
That was not in the summer.
Not in the summer, and not when you drink it in the winter when you're, you know, in Aspen skiing, and you have one glass before you go to bed with your steak, and you know,
Right.
not with your steak. So I make sure the alcohol doesn't run out, and it's good, and everyone has a nice time.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than having a bad glass of wine at a boring event, because then you'd leave in 20 minutes.
A double negative.
Right.
Got it.
Actually, one of my favorite events is God's Love We Deliver, which they were downtown in Soho. They deliver food to the to people who are ill, and I think the food that they make is high quality. But their events are amazing. Last year it was on the ocean, and then they had these huge globe lights. The food was amazing, completely amazing. I've also been to their events in the winter. They have a winter event, and that was downtown. I met Seth Meyer there, and it was hosted by Bette Midler, and
That's amazing.
yeah, and they made a couple $1 million that night.
Was that here in the city or was that in the
They have one in the city and they have
Okay.
one in the Hamptons. So their winter event is downtown, and then their summer event is in the Hamptons. The other event that I really like is at the Watermill Center, and that's an art event. So it's very eclectic. There's a lot of interesting things going on, and there's live art. So there's people painted, there's people doing, there's a lot of sort of, it's not interaction with the crowd, but you're watching something, a live performance. So that's, I think, my other favorite. Those are my two favorites, for sure. The other companies I work with are Taylor Dress and Julia Jordan, just because their dresses are very affordable, they have amazing cuts to them, and you can wear them all day at the office, be comfortable, and then, just throw on the pearls, and, I always have heels with me.
we were actually talking about that earlier, that, she wears, Rolise was telling me that she wears a 6-inch.
I wear 6-inch heels. When I don't, I feel like I'm short, and I feel like awkward, and I don't feel like myself. And when you go into a power meeting, like I do, you need to feel comfortable and you need to feel like yourself.
Mm-hmm.
It's strange to say that 6-inch heels make me feel like myself,
That
but
is strange
they
to
do.
me, but
But they do.
wow. I am actually, okay.
And this is a beautiful piece too.
Thank you. Thank you. I am 4'11". Yes, I'm
Like I was saying, I'm 5'6".
Yeah.
So, and people think I'm taller than I am, and I was saying I act tall.
And so I was telling her that she needed to pass that lesson on to me.
It's being brought up by a matriarch. That's what it is.
But yeah, so to me, she sort of towers over me because I am a little under 5 feet. But yeah, and I still don't wear. I do heels, but I find it tough. But you know what?
Wedges.
I'm
I go with wedges.
Yeah.
6-inch wedges. And you can't wear heels in the Hamptons, you need wedges. You go to polo in heels, you're gonna sink. And it doesn't look very feminine when you're stumbling around with heels on and sinking.
Mm-hmm. You know what's interesting? I've lived in New York City like most of my life, a long time. And I have never been to the Hamptons. I don't know why. I've just never been to the Hamptons. And I've heard so much about it, and of course you see it in like all these TV shows and stuff like that. And you're talking about the wedges that you wear when you're,
Yeah, there's certain things that you do in the Hamptons and certain things you don't. You don't wear black. You don't wear black. You don't wear heels. You can. It just looks like you're a newbie.
That's funny.
It looks like you're a newbie.
So it's like a whole culture that's so different than the city.
And then everyone wears wedges because if you're wearing heels, it looks funny.
Yeah.
It really looks funny. And I wear them all the time. I wear them in New York too because they don't look funny here. But
no, wedges are,
heels do look funny there.
Okay, so the fashion aspect of things, because we incorporate both the events and the fashion life. So we talked about the wedges. So beyond the wedges, you're going to the supermarket or you're hanging out with your girls. What do you wear?
I mostly wear dresses with flip-flops if I'm running errands.
Okay.
Just because they're easy. I pretty much cleared out my closet of having to match things because I'm very busy. I don't have time to match anything. Either that or I'm in my sneakers and yoga pants with a t-shirt and a cashmere sweater. I go from that extreme. But I always have a dress with me in my handbag, ready to go.
So, what is your favorite accessory?
Well, I don't have it with me, but it's a necklace very similar to this, but it's Baroque. This is a coin pearl. This is by Mina D Jewelry. I love her pieces because they sort of remind me of St. Bart's, the sea.
Can we push your hair back just slightly so that when, those people,
So this is a bold piece, and I feel like it exudes style, seriousness, but it's also affordable.
So I know that you travel a lot. So when you have planned, for up-and-coming travels,
Well, this winter I'm actually thinking it's really boring for me to do, but I'm thinking St. Bart's, St. Martin, and Anguilla at some point, and then I would love to go to Israel.
Okay, and so
I love history and culture. I study Phoenician, I study Hebrew. I have this whole other side of me where, because what I do is sort of not super intellectual, I like to sort of balance my alone time with, things like